Rejection hurts in a way that feels strangely physical. Your chest tightens when a date texts, "Hey, I'm not feeling a connection." Your stomach drops when a hiring manager says, "We went with another candidate." At that moment, it rarely feels like, "This situation didn't work out." It feels like, "There's something wrong with me." That's the core pain we're working on today: how quickly a single no becomes a personal verdict, a story about your worth, and hours or days of rumination you didn't ask for. Today is about something different. You're going to learn how to treat rejection the way a coach treats game footage, not as proof you're hopeless, but as data you can study and use. By the end, you'll have 3 things you can actually use: a simple 3-question debrief you can run after any no, a way to convert that sting into a specific skill upgrade, and a ready-made next rep script so you know how to move the very next time you face a similar moment. Educational content inspired by classical Stoic texts. Not medical, psychological, or legal advice. The Stoics dealt with constant setbacks, lost status, lost relationships, even exile. Writers like Marcus and Seneca weren't talking about modern dating apps or LinkedIn, but they were obsessed with the same question: what is in my control here, and how do I respond in a way I respect? That's exactly what will translate into your reality: texts, DMs, job interviews, and everyday social logistics in North America. Here's how we'll move. First, you'll learn a quick reset to stop a no from snowballing into a full identity crisis. Next, you'll get a clear 3-question debrief to run after any rejection. Then, you'll see how to translate no into useful preference data instead of shame. After that, you'll learn to timebox rumination and link each no to one small skill upgrade. Finally, we'll put it together with a real-life story, a recap, and specific steps you can do today. Stay with me until the very end, and while you're here, hit like, tap subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The first shift is simple: stop letting the first emotional spike write the whole story. Instead of "I got rejected, so I'm unlovable," you're going to learn to say, "A thing happened, my nervous system reacted, now I decide what this means." That matters because most of the damage from rejection doesn't come from the event itself, it comes from the way you explain it to yourself for the next several hours. This works because your brain loves fast stories. A no is ambiguous and incomplete, and your mind hates that. It wants a clean conclusion, even if it's brutal. By deliberately separating event, emotion, and explanation, you interrupt that automatic process. You stop letting adrenaline and old insecurity define the narrative. Over time, this gives your nervous system a predictable script: first we notice, then we name, then we decide. Here's one line you can use right after a painful text or email: "Something disappointing just happened, my body is reacting, I don't have to decide what it means yet." You can say it out loud, put it in your notes app, or write it on a sticky note near your laptop. The line doesn't fix the situation, but it gives you breathing space between the sting and the story. Picture this in a North American dating context. You've been chatting with someone from Hinge for a week. You finally meet up at a coffee shop in Chicago. The date feels a little awkward, but not terrible. Later that night you get a message: "Hey, you're great, but I didn't feel that spark. I don't want to waste your time." Your first impulse is to scroll through all your flaws: appearance, job, the joke you told that didn't land. Instead, you pause, feel your chest tighten, and quietly say, "Something disappointing just happened, my body is reacting, I don't have to decide what it means yet." You put your phone down for 10 minutes, drink water, and let the initial wave pass before you even start to interpret. Tiny action: think of one recent no that still stings a little. Write down the exact event in one sentence starting with, "Today, X happened," and then add, "My body reacted, but I don't have to decide what it means yet." That's it, one written line. Now that you can pause the automatic verdict, you need a structured way to replay what happened. The move here is to run a 3-question debrief every time you get rejected. What exactly happened? What did I control? What can I experiment with next time? This matters because without structure, your mind focuses on the most painful angle instead of the most useful one. The 3-question debrief works because it channels your attention to controllable elements. When you answer what happened, you strip away exaggeration and stick to observable facts. When you ask "What did I control?" you identify behaviors and choices that were actually yours. When you ask "What can I experiment with next time?" you convert vague self-criticism into a specific next rep. This is the Stoic logic in action: attention, control, and practice. Here is your microscript for the debrief. Okay, replay time. What happened? What did I control? And what can I test next time? You can literally say this to yourself while walking home, sitting on a bus, or staring at your laptop after reading a tough email. Imagine a work example in Toronto. You apply for an internal promotion at your company. You prepare, you interview, and you feel decent about it. A week later, you get the "we appreciate your interest, but we've decided to move forward with another candidate" email. Instead of spiraling into "they never take me seriously," you open a blank note and type, "What happened? I applied, interviewed once, and they picked someone else. What did I control? I chose my examples, my tone, my questions, and how I followed up. What can I experiment with next time? I can ask for feedback on what they prioritized, practice clearer outcomes in my examples, and build more visibility with my manager before the next opening." The situation is still disappointing, but now you've got a replay that leads somewhere. Tiny action: the next time you get any no from a date, a manager, a friend, take 2 minutes to answer those 3 questions in writing. Even 3 short lines count as a complete debrief. Once you can replay the event, the next step is to stop treating every no as a global verdict on who you are. The shift is this: treat rejection as a data point about fit, timing, and preference, not about your basic worth. This matters because when you label yourself instead of the situation, you make future action harder. Why message someone else if you've decided, "I'm just not dateable"? This works because most rejections are multi-causal, but your brain compresses them into a single story. Someone might say no because of life stress, financial pressure, scheduling, their own unresolved issues, or simply different taste. You don't control any of that. By categorizing reasons into "about me" versus "about the match," you start seeing the limits of your influence. That frees up energy to adjust what you can and release what you can't. Here's your one line for this: this no is data about fit and timing, not a verdict on me. You can send it as a message to yourself, put it on your lock screen, or write it at the top of your journal page when you're tempted to overpersonalize. Consider a dating example in Seattle. You've gone on 3 dates with someone you met through mutual friends. You've had good conversations, shared a couple of meals, and even talked about family. Then they say, "You're wonderful, but I'm realizing I'm not ready for something serious." The first reaction might be, "Of course, they realized I'm not good enough." Instead, you sit on your couch, breathe, and say out loud, "This no is data about fit and timing, not a verdict on me." You remember they just started a demanding grad program and are working weekends. You realize their bandwidth is low and that you can still learn something about your own pacing and expectations without attacking your entire personality. Tiny action: take one past rejection that still feels like a personal judgment. Write 2 columns, possible fit/timing factors and how I showed up. Put at least 3 items in the first column. You're training your brain to see multiple causes, not just self-blame. Next, you'll shift your scoring system. Most people secretly grade themselves on outcomes they do not control: whether the person texted back, whether the recruiter said yes, whether the friend responded the way they wanted. The new rule is, score yourself on how you showed up, not on what they decided. This matters because it anchors your sense of progress to behaviors you can repeat, not to other people's reactions. This works because your brain is wired to care about scores and streaks. If you let it, it will pick unhealthy metrics like number of matches who replied, which you can't fully control. By deliberately switching to metrics like honesty, clarity, respect, and follow-through, you give your nervous system a fair game to play. You become the person who asks, "Did I act in a way my future self respects, not did they approve of me?" Here's your microscript for this: I'm grading myself on effort and integrity, not their answer. Use it right after sending a vulnerable text, asking for feedback, or expressing interest in a new opportunity. Picture a work situation in New York. You've built up the courage to ask your manager for a small raise after taking on extra responsibilities. You schedule the meeting, present your case, and stay calm. Your manager listens and finally says, "Not yet. Let's revisit in 6 months." You leave the meeting disappointed. The old scoring system says, fail, F grade, no raise. The new scoring system asks, did I prepare? Did I speak clearly? Did I stay professional even when I felt nervous? You answer yes to all three. You repeat to yourself on the subway home, I'm grading myself on effort and integrity, not their answer. The outcome is still no for now, but your self-respect actually increases. Tiny action, pick one recent situation where you put yourself out there. Write a quick self-score on a 10-point scale for preparation, honesty, and respect. Ignore the outcome for this exercise, focus only on how you showed up. Even with better stories and better scores, rejection can still loop in your head. The next move is to give your mind a clear container, timebox your rumination. Instead of letting a no steal your entire day, you'll schedule a specific review window and then deliberately switch tasks. This matters because your brain confuses replaying pain with solving it. Without limits, you end up tired, distracted, and no wiser. This works because your attention is like a spotlight with limited battery. When you decide, I'm going to think about this from 7:30 to 7:45 tonight, then I'm done for today, you send a signal to your nervous system, there is a plan. That alone reduces the urge to obsess all afternoon. When the scheduled review comes, you either run your 3-question debrief or just let yourself feel the sadness without pretending you're still researching the problem. Your simple script is, I'll give this rejection 15 focused minutes later, right now, I'm doing X. Fill in the X with a small, concrete task, laundry, a short walk, a focused email block, or meal prep. Imagine a grad student in Montreal who gets an email saying their paper was rejected from a conference. It stings, especially after weeks of work. The old pattern is to stare at the screen, read the email 5 times, scroll social media, and think about quitting. Instead, they stand up, whisper, I'll give this rejection 15 focused minutes later, right now, I'm doing dishes, and step away from the desk. At 8 p.m., they sit down with the email, read the comments once, jot down 3 possible improvements, and close the laptop. The decision is not whether to feel bad, that's automatic, but whether to give the rejection all evening or just a defined slice. Tiny action, choose one past or current no that keeps resurfacing. Put a 15-minute block in your calendar today labeled Rejection Review. During that block, either run the 3-question debrief or just feel the emotions without distraction. When the timer ends, move your body and switch tasks. Now let's connect rejection directly to growth. Instead of seeing no as a dead end, you'll treat it as a cue for one specific skill upgrade. The idea is, every time you get a rejection, you pick exactly one micro skill to practice, not a long list. This matters because vague goals like be better at dating paralyze you, while clear, small skills actually get trained. This works because learning happens through repetition under slightly different conditions. By tying each no to a single, chosen skill, you turn an emotionally noisy moment into a training rep over time. This builds a quiet confidence. Whatever happens externally, you know you're improving your process internally. That's very close to what Stoic writers describe when they talk about using adversity as material for virtue. Here's your one line, this no is my cue to practice, specific skill. You might insert clearer compliments, asking for what I want earlier, shorter emails, or listening without fixing. The key is to pick only one per rejection. Consider a dating example in Austin. You go on a couple of promising dates, but then you get a message, you're awesome, but I didn't always feel heard. That stings. Instead of collapsing into, I'm terrible at relationships, you say, this no is my cue to practice listening without interrupting. On your next date, you deliberately slow down, ask more open questions, and wait 2 extra seconds before jumping in with a story. Whether that date leads anywhere or not, you know you worked the skill you chose. Tiny action, pick one recent rejection and name one skill you could reasonably practice next time. Write it as a sentence, next time, I'll use this to practice, skill. Keep it somewhere you'll see before your next high-stakes interaction. There's one more piece, what you actually say back when rejection comes in real time. Many people either over-explain, argue, or disappear. The shift here is to adopt a simple next rep script you can send when someone says no. The script focuses on dignity and clarity, not persuasion. This matters because how you respond today becomes part of your self-story tomorrow. This works because a plan line reduces panic. When you don't have a script, your nervous system scrambles, type fast, defend, fix it. When you have a default response, you can lean on it while your emotions catch up. Over time, consistent responses build a reputation for calmness and respect, not just in others' minds, but in your own. Here's a versatile microscript you can adapt. Thanks for being honest and letting me know. I appreciate the clarity and wish you well. That's it. No arguing, no secret hope they'll change their mind, no long explanation about why they're making a mistake. Picture a texting example in Los Angeles. You've been talking to someone for a few weeks. One night, they send, "Hey, you're really kind, but I'm not feeling the romantic connection I thought I would." Your chest tightens, your face gets hot, and your thumbs want to type a long explanation. Instead, you pause, breathe, and send, "Thanks for being honest and letting me know. I appreciate the clarity and wish you well." You put your phone down, stand up, and take a short walk. Later, when you think about that moment, you remember not just the sting of the message, but also the strength of your response. Tiny action: draft your own next rep script in your notes app using the structure above. Keep it short and respectful. The next time you're rejected by text or email, use it once, exactly as written, and then step away from your device for at least 5 minutes. Now let's watch these ideas in motion through a single story. Meet Jordan, a 32-year-old software engineer in Vancouver. After a rough breakup a year ago, Jordan promised to be more intentional about dating. They finally meet someone through friends Alex, and over a month they go on 4 dates, a brewery, a hike, a movie night, and a dinner at a small place downtown. Jordan feels hopeful for the first time in a while. One Sunday afternoon, Jordan gets a text from Alex, "Hey, can we talk later?" That familiar dread rises. They meet at a park. After a bit of small talk, Alex says, "You're genuinely wonderful, but I'm not feeling the level of romantic connection I need. I think it's better we stop here." The words land like a punch. In the past, Jordan would have gone silent, nodded, and replayed the moment for weeks, turning it into proof that they're unlovable. This time, something different happens. Jordan feels their throat tighten and their chest ache, but silently runs the first script: "Something disappointing just happened, my body is reacting, I don't have to decide what it means yet." Instead of arguing or begging, Jordan uses the next rep response: "Thanks for being honest and letting me know. I appreciate the clarity and wish you well." They share an awkward hug and walk home alone. Back at the apartment, the sadness is heavy. Jordan wants to crawl into bed and scroll social media all night. Instead, they timebox. They set a 15-minute timer labeled Rejection Review, texting one trusted friend to say, "Hey, got some tough news, I'll call you later." When the timer starts, Jordan opens a note and runs the 3-question debrief: "What happened? What did I control? What can I test next time?" They write that they initiated some deeper conversations late, tended to fill silences quickly, and maybe could have asked more about Alex's inner world earlier. Then they add the skill cue: "This no is my cue to practice slower listening and more open questions." They rate their own effort and integrity: they were honest, showed up, kept their word on plans, and handled the breakup conversation with composure. When the timer ends, Jordan closes the note, walks around the block, and eats something. The pain hasn't vanished, but it now lives inside a container, a story of someone learning, not someone failing. That night, Jordan sleeps a little more peacefully, not because the rejection was easy, but because their response was aligned with who they want to become. You've just walked through a complete way of handling rejection that doesn't rely on pretending it doesn't hurt. Instead, you learned how to pause the automatic verdict, replay what happened with a 3-question debrief, separate your worth from someone else's decision, set a fair scoring system based on effort and integrity, contain rumination with timeboxing, link every no to one small skill upgrade, and carry a calm next rep script you can use when someone delivers hard news. Taken together, these moves form a single rhythm. First, you notice the emotional spike and say, "My body is reacting, I don't have to decide what this means yet." Then you give yourself a short, scheduled window to review the rejection instead of letting it dominate your entire day. During that window, you run through what happened. What did I control? What can I test next time? You remind yourself that this is data about fit and timing, not a verdict on your worth, and you grade yourself on how you showed up, not on whether they said yes. Finally, you pick one skill to practice next time and keep a simple, respectful response ready for the next no that comes in by text, email, or conversation. Now, 3 concrete things to do today. First, take one past rejection that still echoes in your mind and run the full 3-question debrief in writing. Give yourself exactly 10 minutes and then stop. Second, draft your personal next rep script for when someone turns you down, 1 or 2 lines you're proud to send, and save it in your notes app where you can find it fast. Third, set a rule for the next 7 days. Any new no gets a 15-minute review block in your calendar and one named skill you'll practice next time. Those 3 moves alone will start shifting rejection from threat to training. When you're ready to go deeper, the next topic to explore is how to set and communicate boundaries after conflict, how to stay calm, clear, and kind when you need to step back, instead of ghosting or exploding. If you feel messages like this need to reach more people, subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next lesson.